Happy Sunday! Welcome to Morning Show with Christina and Brooke. So, today we have an awesome topic for you, and maybe like a mindset shift, if you will. A wise person started this framework of thinking somehow. What if we stop and think about how things are happening for you instead of things happening to you?
Mm. That wise person, was it Tony Robbins? Was it?
Maybe.
And I mean, we can relate to this in so many ways, right? And we were doing our little discussion before we started this morning, and you know, COVID 2020, we can all look at it in such a deep, dark way. But something that I'm grateful for in this COVID world is connecting closer to my fiance, spending more time with him, and really accelerating that relationship, and just growing my business as well. And it helped me grow personally. So life as we know it, for me, that's how it was happening for me instead of to me. So it's all where our focus goes, right?
Hmm. Thinking outside of the box. Joe has something clever to say, always. I'm dying, Joe.
No, I have nothing clever to say. I was just thinking through what Brooke was saying and just making it make sense to me. It sounds like you were kind of taking it to the next step of like, so if like what happens when if we do look at life as things that are happening for us as opposed to being things that are happening to us, it leaves us at a place of like shifting our minds, and the way that we experience things should be different, so much so that we end up on the other side being grateful for things, whether it's grateful for having more time with our loved ones, grateful for being able to focus on those relationships. So that's just kind of what I was thinking through. But kind of where my mind first went with the idea of, what if we did look at life as things happening for us. I think it's, and maybe we all have examples of this in our lives, like those people that come from a place that they believe this to be true. And regardless of why they believe that, regardless of what their faith tradition might be or what their background might be, people who walk around thinking that, man, there is something that is causing all of these things to line up for me in such a way, and everything is an opportunity. When you meet them, you kind of know it, because the way that they're able to experience loss, for example, the way that they're able to experience defeat, the way that they're able to experience like frustration, even in the if in the moment we're all human beings, and in that instance we're like, we're rage hauling, but once we're able to calm down, we're able to like, oh, hold on, I can experience this in such a way that allows me to grow, that allows me to find appreciation, to be grateful for what I'm ultimately getting from this thing, because it's happening for me, not to me. So I think for me, it just has the potential to change the way that we view everything, change the way that we experience the day to day stuff, from the mundane stuff to the big stuff.
Totally.
It's empowering too. It gives you a mindset of like, I
That's the
get to
word.
do this, or what can I do instead now? It used to be just mundane and routine, and now there's opportunity. Things are,
Yeah.
they're happening, and you have to make them happen sometimes.
Right. Right. And I look at it also from what you guys are saying as like lessons learned, right? So you could look at things as failures, or, that negative mindset. But since it's happening for you, it's providing you an experience that is taking you to the next level. And because this happened, a big thing is not only being grateful for it happening, but reflecting on it and what you learned along the way. I was talking to a client this morning about this, and even like journaling, right? I know that is for some of us exciting some days and not other days. And it can be mundane sometimes, as you guys were saying, right? But for people who journal every day, you get to look back in a year from now, especially if you are a forward thinker and you're in a positive mindset and you're working on self-development. And you get to look at it from a year ago, a few months ago, and just see the shift in your thinking and the shift in where you were at and where you are. And it's so rewarding. And it's not that often that we just take a second to stop and look back and reflect.
And by the way, the example that you used, I love it because I don't get people who can do that. Like the journaling, like, oh, I can look back to 6 months ago and just see my growth and my development and how I'm like, yo, I've sat down to like journal and I don't think I've gotten through like a week before it eventually dropped off into something else. So, but we still all do that. We still all can in different ways get the same end result of having these milestones or these check-in moments where we stop and reflect like, wait, where am I now comparable to a month ago or to a week ago or to six? I think in my brain it works more like snapshots. Like I have very specific snapshots from a month ago, like mental snapshots from 6 months ago. One of them just came up this morning and it was like I was prompted by Google Photos says, hey, you want to see what you were doing this week a year ago? And I was like, what? And it was, and maybe it's the same impact where I'm not even kidding. It was right before I drove to work this morning and I had a hard time, like literally wrapping my mind around how unimaginable back then it would have been to me to figure out or to accept where I am now. And all beautiful and positive and amazing ways. But Joe, a year ago, that guy in that photo would have never been able to envision all of these things happening for him, not to him, happening for him that would allow me to be me where I am now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Joe,
Yep.
you're not a journaler, but you do take a lot of notes. So I know this happens to me. Like I like to save old notebooks. You go back and like read your notes, like, oh yeah. And the words like come off the page and you remember like what you were going through and what you felt, even though that's not expressed in the words. So it's kind of like a form of journaling, I guess, if you save notebooks.
I don't disagree. I do take copious notes. I'm not very organized in keeping them, but I do keep them. And yeah, and again, I think I get the same impact of what she's talking about, just in a different way, which I think is good because not everybody can journal in that way. And I don't want somebody who's watching this to think, well, I'm not a journaler. So I guess I can't do this. No, you totally can. Just you got to find your way of doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And just taking that second to stop, pause, reflect, and understand how it's happening for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And relating it back to your why.
Yeah.
Your vision.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That is the thing.
It's always the thing.
Always. Every week. Okay, we could play like a whole game. Like, okay, let's see what gets us back to vision this week. We're very vision focused.
Yes, we are. Because we're visionaries, right?
Joe's looking for his visionary.
Sometimes the vision is visionless, and that's totally cool because that's the vision. Ambiguity. That's all right.
That's cool for you, Joe.
It is. And that's why I love this dynamic. I always mention this to you guys. It's what I love about this dynamic is that somehow we work so well together, and yet there's a lot of places where we overlap so ridiculously well. But then there's other where it's like, yo, that contrast is black and white between these people. And I think that's wonderful and beautiful and amazing.
So don't worry, Joe. We'll just grab you by the arm and say, come on, let's go.
I'm here for that.
Awesome.
Black and white and colorful all over.
Totally. Love all of it. Well, thanks for spending your Sunday with us. Another morning with Joe, Christina, and Brooke. Remember, everything's for you. Happy Sunday.
Go vote.